In this video I'll be showing you how I achieved this fantastic level of enhancement to my car boot lid test panel using a Rupes Dual Action Polisher, a couple of microfibre polishing pads and Meguiar's polishes. Welcome back to the channel, I'm Graham from GM Details. For anyone that doesn't know what this is, it's a paint depth gauge. This one only works on metal panels and gives an indication of how thick the paint is. Now before you start using any machine polisher, it's advisable to get yourself one of these to help you decide if the paint is thick enough to remove any more of the clear coat from it. Who knows what has happened to your car's paint in its life. It could have been machine polished to get some scratches or some swirls out before you bought it. This device helps tell the overall thickness down to the metal substrate. Here's an illustration of how paint is made up on a car with clear coat, showing that although the clear coat can be quite thick, if it's been machine polished before, it might be quite thin in places, and to avoid burning through the paint, one of these gauges can help you. Now this isn't going to be a tutorial in paint depth gauges, but with a minimum of 95 microns measured, then I'm happy to go ahead with using a cutting compound on the paint to remove some of the oxidised and damaged clear coat, just to get a better finish to the paint. And we'll get a chance to see just how much that I've removed a little later on in the video. Meguiar's 105 cutting compound here, along with a cutting microfibre pad, is what I've chosen to remove the swirls and scratches from this BMW E46 boot lid test panel. Now these are invaluable practice panels if you're thinking of getting into machine polishing, and they can be purchased quite cheaply from your local friendly scrapyard. So why have I chosen this combination? Well, usually you'd start with the least aggressive pad and polish combination, but with a little experience under your belt, you'll have a rough idea of where to start based on the info you've got from your paint depth gauge and how bad the paintwork actually is upon inspection. Now, full disclaimer here, I'm not a professional detailer. I have been trained in the use of a DA polisher, but that doesn't mean I'm doing this day in day out as a profession. I'm just an amateur like many of you who watch, so I'm only sharing my experience here with these products and equipment. So I've applied some of the polish to the microfibre pad to prime it, and I'm using the Rupes pad tool to spread out the polish to cover every fibre possible, as a spinning dry pad could inflict more damage than I'm trying to remove. Now it's not good practice to lay your polisher on the car, but for filming and it's a test panel pre-polish, then I'm doing it to show you how the pad is attached, using the centre hole to help line it all up. As it's important the pad is as central on the backing plate as is possible. You can see I'm applying just 4 little pea-sized dots of the compound onto the microfibre cutting pad, and then I'm going to tap it out on the panel section I'll be working on. That just ensures an even distribution of the polish. It's not the Rupes way, but as it isn't Rupes pads I'm just using this technique as it's my first time using these particular pads. So with speed 1 selected on the polisher, I'm simply spreading out the compound before the polishing and then switching up to speed 4 to do the polishing set. You can't have too long a set with a microfibre pad as they flatten out and are pretty useless like that, so you need to use a brush or this Rupes pad tool again to brush the fibres back up and to remove any old polish before going back in for another set. There was very minimal residue and no dusting of the polish, which can be a sign of overworking or drying out, and although with a microfibre pad you're likely to get a higher temperature in the pads, it didn't dry out, which is really good. I'm removing the polish residue with a pearl weave microfiber cloth. I find these better than the high pile plush cloths, as the longer fibres of the plush cloths seem to just skim over the residue, where these pearl ones seem to dig right into it and make light work of polish removal. So we're on to the first inspection here, and this is what I'm trying to correct: unsightly swirls, scratches and hazing, etc. And this is what the Meguiars 105 heavy cut compound along with a cutting microfiber machine pad has achieved. It still has hazing, which is expected from a microfiber pad. That'll be a job for the 205 finishing polish to remove, so under the ceiling lights it doesn't look too bad at all, but with the swirl finder light it has still picked up some swirls. Not as bad as they were before, but still bad enough to have another set with the cutting compound. So let's see if we can improve on it. This time you're not getting as good a view of the light, but the second set has gone much better and I'm happy to progress on to the second stage polish with Meguiar's 205 Ultra Finish, and hopefully that will reduce the hazing and improve the look to the panel. As I finish with this pad for now, a good tip to avoid polishes drying out on the pad, making cleaning difficult, is to pop them into a bucket of Garage Therapy Zero Decon shampoo until you're ready to clean them all. It works a little magic on any kind of pad and brings them up as good as new. Roughly a 10% dilution will be perfect. To work with the Meguiar's 205 Ultra Finish, I'm going to be using this finishing microfiber pad. If you want to check these out for yourself, I'll put a link to them in the description below. As you can see from the handy guide on the bottle, it's got less of a cut than the 105, but apparently it's still capable of removing 1200 grit sanding marks. Well, if it cleans up the hazing from the first stage, I'll be happy with that, as I'm only wanting it to be a test for a wax to see if a polish makes any difference to how long a wax lasts. I got so carried away priming the microfiber pad, I added the polish to the pad while it was still off the machine. I'll tell you, it's no fun, this getting old carry on. Anyway, pad finally on the repairs and off we go for the first set. Same as before, working the polish over the area to be worked at speed 1 and then up to 4 again to finish. I'm using the same pearl weave microfiber cloths as before to wipe away the polish residue, and again haven't noticed any dusting at all from the polish. I'll get my swirl finder light now and see how well it's finished down the paint. Now, as I use my phone to record these videos, it's a little bit grainy at the moment being inside the garage, but hopefully you'll be able to see a significant difference between the two sides. There's a lot more of the paint fleck reflecting back, whereas before it was all haze and swirls. There's a few random deeper scratches left, but for the purposes of testing whether a wax bonds to polished paint rather than unpolished, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to use the Autoglanz new panel wipe to remove any oils which may be left behind and give you a look at the 50/50. Now, I dare say I could have refined it down another set for better clarity, but I'm happy with the way it's turned out. It looks better in pictures than video format, so I'll show you those at the end, but I hope there's enough pixels uploaded for you to see a difference and maybe encourage you to get out there and have a go at polishing yourself. Just before you go, I promised you another set of readings from the paint depth gauge, and across the areas where I took the previous readings, there's an average of 3 microns removed from the 2 cutting sets and 1 polishing set, so there's still plenty of clear coat left for another day. If you like these kind of videos and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, as there will be more polishing content coming in the next few months. So I'll leave you with a few photos of the tape line 50/50. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.